your mini absence, we haven't gotten any Trey Lance reacts from you.
Oh, God, he's incredible. I mean, the MVP chance should already be starting. I thought he was incredible. He was great. And, the one incomplete pass was probably not his fault. It was a very catchable ball along the sideline, better body control, and he goes a perfect 5 for 5. And the deep ball. The deep ball. The fact that the 49ers were able to design a play in which a receiver ran more than 12 yards down the field and they threw a ball in the air to that receiver, that was incredible in and of itself. But just his ability to make that throw, he made plays with his legs. He seemed to have great command of the offense. I've seen all I need to see from Trey Lance.
Stop it.
It's Super Bowl or bust. No, I'm being serious. Yesterday, what Lo Neal said to you and Larry Krueger when Larry was in for me, I absolutely agree with, where he's not a rookie, and we should take off the training wheels. We don't have to treat him with kid gloves. Trey Lance was in this offense for a full year. He can make all the throws. He's got all the tools. So we all need to, in the media, in the old media, the new media, we need to stop couching all of the things that he does as, well, Trey's just learning. No, BS. Trey's here. The expectation for this team is that they win games and they go to the playoffs and they go on a run. So I'm going to now change the bar. We've all set the bar at a certain spot, but Lo Neal yesterday took the bar and raised it for everyone, and I agree with him.
Yeah, he's right.
He is right.
The 49ers have to make the playoffs this year. And again, I'm always open for the journey and how it went. So I don't know who's healthy and what's going to happen this year.
All that, yeah.
Right? Jimmy Ward being hurt already is a concern, and that's one of the things we'll talk to Eric Crocker about, how big of a deal is this? I think you could honestly make the case that outside of Trey Lance, if there's one player that you really don't want to lose this year, Trent Williams, Jimmy Ward, these are the names. Debo, that you really don't want to lose. So, not that they've lost Jimmy Ward for a lengthy period of time, but a significant injury to his hamstring. How's that going to affect the team? We'll get into that and more.
Doc Pandia tomorrow, too. We'll get into all the hamstrings.
For sure. We'll start with the Jimmy Ward situation tomorrow for sure. But all of that said, if you just look around at the NFC, the 49ers have zero excuse to not make the playoffs. And I don't think they would use that either. I think that we're going to do that. We're going to sit here and say, well, hang on, Trey's going to have bumps in the road, and that's all true.
Yeah.
But this is a playoff. Look at this roster, and then look up and down the NFC. There are so many teams in the NFC right now that are essentially just handing you the season, and I know that there will be surprises.
And you got 16 teams in the conference, and 7 of them will make the playoffs. 4 division winners and 3 wild cards.
That's correct.
So, you take the NFC East, they're a 1-team division. The NFC
probably. I'm going to give the Cowboys and the Eagles a possibility of both being solid.
Fine.
But there's 2 teams that are out. Who can we eliminate?
There's 2 out in the East.
The Giants and Commanders are out.
In the North, the Lions are out. And the Lions and the Bears, I would say,
I agree with you,
are out. So already we're down to 12 teams.
I do think the Lions could be interesting, though. By the way, that thing that you retweeted from Chad Millman over the weekend, I sat down and read it.
Isn't it incredible?
It's super fascinating, and it's all about either gambling or fantasy.
Yeah.
And just these little quirks, these things that you need to know. I read them all. I jotted some down. We could actually play with some of these in a little bit.
It's weeks of material. We ran some of it on Sunday's Bets on the BetQL network. If you follow me on Twitter, I favorited it. I tweeted it. I'll retweet it. It's basically 100 different nuggets as it pertains to gambling and the NFL season, including, by the way, unbelievable week 1 trends.
Totally. You will feel, you're going to be like, if I haven't opened an account, I got to now.
God.
You're going to feel like there's just some bunnies, some tap-ins.
As I'm looking through that, I'm like, that's a segment, that's a segment,
totally.
That's a segment.
So the reason I bring it up, though, right now is that the favorite for NFL Coach of the Year is Dan Campbell.
Right.
Is that because there's something there, or is it because they're on Hard Knocks and he's the only one we're actually seeing right now?
Both of those things, and the notion of Detroit being better. If Detroit goes 8-9, he could win Coach of the Year.
It's true.
Because, the expectation for Detroit is not very good.
I don't know about losing record, but yeah, if they go 9-8.
You're right.
Yeah, but I do think they're an interesting team, especially offensively. Like, low-key, they got all kinds of weapons now. I know it starts with DeAndre Swift, and there's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DJ Chark is there now. I think Jared Goff might have an interesting, not disastrous year.
My former neighbor's on the coaching staff, so I got a soft spot for the Detroit Lions.
So everybody does. But I'm with you. You can eliminate. They're not going to the playoffs.
To the South.
Okay, to the South.
Carolina and Atlanta. The Saints?
I guess I won't eliminate the Saints. Somebody in there will be surprisingly okay, but Winston is such a turnover machine. The Panthers are like, we don't know who our quarterback is.
Right.
The Falcons have a placeholder. So, yeah, if I eliminate 3 from there and then we eliminate Seattle from the West.
We're down to 9 teams.
For 7 spots.
Exactly.
And the roster that the 49ers have? Get out of here.
No excuses.
You got to go.
So when I saw Trey Lance on Friday play like that, and, obviously he didn't light the world on fire. He only played, 11 plays or 12 plays, and he had 5 throws, but he looked like the real deal. The throws he made were awesome. The command of the huddle, the command of the offense, and I was listening to Lowe yesterday describe exactly what Trey Lance means for this offense in terms of the run fake and the ability to get, hey, diddle, George Kittle down the middle, and the ability to freeze the linebackers because of his ability to run the ball, the zone read, the fakes, the keeps, the bootleg, the waggle, all the rest of it that he brings to the offense is going to give Kyle Shanahan much more of an ability to call plays different than last year, combined with what you're talking about, the roster. This roster, the defense looked legit, and they didn't play with 4 or 5 of their best players, and the defense still looked pretty solid.
Their DBs right now are concerned just because of health. And I know Mosley and Ward, the other Ward, Charvarius Ward, you're looking at stuff that's not. They're sitting out because it's camp, and those are small injuries, and they should be fine. But the Jimmy Ward thing scares you. And, they're deeper than they used to be. There's a couple spots where you look at and you go, you can't have too many injuries there. One is the offensive line, and then the other one is the quarterback, because it's the quarterback. That's true for all the teams. And then the last one is safety. That's
Hufanga?
Yeah, but he's not Jimmy Ward. He's a very different player. Jimmy Ward is, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. But, isn't it such a picture of it? Just even sitting here talking about this and going through that roster in your head, and knowing that they're playing the Bears and the Seahawks week 1 and week 2, oh my gosh, I think they can be really, really good this year. They can be really good. And Trey just needs to not make the big mistakes, at least in the first half of the year. If he can just avoid making big mistakes at the wrong times, I think they're going to overwhelm most teams with the rest of what they have to offer.
Depth at running back, great wide receivers, maybe among the top 5 in the league as far as 1-2 punch at receiver. You've got a fullback who you can use as a tight end at times. When you go 21 personnel with the 2 running backs, he's an unbelievable lead blocker. You've got one of the best tight ends in football. Defensively now, when you start to look at that D-line, it's elite. Nick Bosa, defensive MVP candidate. You've got 3 great linebackers. You can play base with the 3 linebackers. You can bring in Womack if you need to play in the nickel coverage. It looks like the depth of this roster is so remarkable that Trey Lance can be fine, as we like to say.
Which is probably what he will be in the early part of the season.
And you can still be 12-5.
Absolutely.